I'm back. How have you been? I have been wanting to record another episode to talk about my knitting and my adventures with knitting and some of my photography, but I've had work going on in my house, my kids have been home, but finally I have the place to myself for about 20 minutes and I'm hoping to get caught up. I have made notes, so if you see me looking down, I will be referencing them. And I'm going to hopefully get through everything, and all of these notes you can find on the bottom under this episode down in the comments. So it has links to everything that I talk about. So to get started, I'm going to go back to December where I went to Knit in the Pit. It's a monthly meetup in the Asbury Hotel. It's a bunch of knitters all come. We take over the lobby from 6 to 8 and we knit, and John Griswold's there. He helps organize, he runs the whole event, and he has door prizes and all kinds of fun things. My bird. Okay, you guys had the loveliest comments about my bird last time. He really is quiet. It's probably the only one I talk, but today I can move him out if he keeps going, so I will take him out if he's disruptive. So anyway, we're in the pit, and my son Brady came with me. He's my 12-year-old son, and we went, and Brooklyn Boy Knits was there as a guest speaker.
Put it all, like you use all the pieces in. Yeah. How do you do the edge? Use screws.
You have to stick the needle against the stick and do over, since I'm doing 3 different colors, it's a bit harder, but it's two different colors.
How long have you been doing this?
For a long time.
Yeah?
It's
A year? You like it? It's fiber arts.
It is. And he's just so inspiring and just so wonderful. Sometimes I reference like a singer who's like is this little tiny person and they get up on stage and they just sing at such a volume, like, and you just can't explain, like, where does that come from? Like this little tiny person, and it just radiates. Well, Lewis, who's Brooklyn Boy Knits, he's one of those people. He was given the opportunity when he went viral. He was knitting on a subway, and what he said with it was he could do nothing with that exposure or do something with it, and he's been doing everything with it. He has been just making waves in the industry. He's a tiny little guy and he has a heart of gold. I mean, it's exploding the way his enthusiasm is for bringing fiber arts into the community, encouraging everyone to knit, to just be your best selves, include everyone, and it goes on and on and on.
Idea about something that you want to start. I always encourage people like, oh Lewis, but I don't have the means, I don't have the funds, I don't have the resources. You don't need all that. And I'm telling you that because I've experienced this. You don't need the funds, you don't need the resources. Come to me, message me, I will get you those resources. If there's a charity you want to start, if you want to start working with the homeless, if you want to work with kids, you want to work in a nursing home, and this is something that's been on your mind and something that you want to start, by all means, do it. We need more of this. We need more people out there. We need more people to commit to our charities that we need out there. There's so much work that needs to be done, and we just need more people stepping up. So if I know you're all out there, you're all thinking, there was this one time that I thought about doing that. When I tell you there are companies out there that are waiting for us to come to them and ask for supplies, yarn, knitting needles, crochet hooks, they're waiting on us. And I get it all the time. I have companies that contact me constantly, saying, Lewis, do you need supplies? I'm like, no, but I know somebody who does. And so I love to share that information with you and to everyone out there, that if you do have that idea, if you do want to give back in your own way, by all means, do it, please. So I want to wish you all a happy holiday and a prosperous 2020, because I know Knit in the Pit's only going to get bigger from here. And I promise I will be back, because this is awesome. I walked in and I was like, wow, talk about swank. But I'm super excited to be here today, and I'm super excited to meet a lot of you.
But while he was there at Knit in the Pit, he talked about that he was going to be doing the Kaleidoscope show at Vogue Knitting Live in New York City. It was going to be on Friday night. It's the first time they're having this show. So while we were there in Asbury, we connected, and I said, hi. I said, Louis, if you're interested, I'm a photographer. If you want me to bring my camera up, I'd be happy to take some pictures, do some video, whatever you want. Just like if you need any help, let me know. So he told me, he said, well, Vogue will have their photographers, but I could really use some video. So we reconnected closer to the event, and I was going with my sisters and my mom, and we were going on the train. So I was limited to how much I could bring because we were going for 3 days, and I wanted to bring all my knits and then my camera gear. So there's only really what I could carry on to the train. So he said, yes, if you can do a video, that'd be great. We'll record a video, and then we'll be playing it on a loop with all of the garments that are worn in the fashion show. They wanted to play it on a loop at Vogue. So I brought some of my gear, some of my camera gear, and I recorded it, and it was such a wonderful show. It was just a great show. So it was the Kaleidoscope fashion show, and the purpose of it was just to bring in and show new designers, different diverse designers, and just go crazy with these patterns. It was just so much fun. So there's a link below so you can see the whole show. I won't talk too much more on it, but it was absolutely wonderful, and so very excited to be a part of it. Brooklyn Boy Knits Lewis, he is posted it over on his website or his YouTube channel. So there's a link below. You can watch the whole show. So Vogue Knitting Live, New York City 2020 was so much fun. I went up with my mom and my sisters, Leanne and Liz from Cocktail Hour at the Coop. I think they have an episode and they showed some of their footage from the trip. And my mom, it was our Christmas present, so she took us up, she paid for the hotel, and she took us to go to a Broadway play. We had an awesome time. So we went up on the train on Friday, and we were there all day Saturday. We went to play a matinee on Saturday, we went out to dinner, and then Sunday we went down to the marketplace again at the show, and then we went home, back on the train. So we had such a great time. My mom was checking in, and my sister Liz was up there with my mom, and they said, would you like to be upgraded to the Times Square package? And of course my sister's like, yes! So it was cool. We had a nice view of Times Square, and it was snowing, and so I did a couple time lapses, and it was just fun to look out over the city. I'm much happier standing in the hotel looking out the city than being in the city. I'm very happy being in the hotel with thousands of knitters. They say about 10,000 people were at the event, and so it's a lot of people. It's a tight space, but yeah, 10,000 people throughout the weekend. It's a lot of people. Yes, you need to hear here.
What are the chances? Are you going to 31? How about that? How funny.
We're a lot of knitters. It's fun. Every time you get in the elevators, there's like, you can tell like all the knitters, like what patterns they're wearing, and it's just such a fun event. So I talked about the Kaleidoscope fashion show. Saturday morning we did the subway storm with Christy Glass. I posted a quick video of some of the footage I took of that. There's a link down below. We of course had a great time. This is my I think it's the third time they've done it, so it's the third time I've done it. It's gotten bigger and bigger. I think we were in 1 train the first year, 2 trains the second year, and this year we're in 3 trains. So next year we'll probably be in 4 trains. We're subway cars. It's just an absolute blast. We take over the train, and we're all in there knitting and talking, and it's a great time to connect with everybody and like talk to like, where are you from, what are you working on, because the show, it's really tight and cramped, so it's really a cool time to like meet people. My mom was planning a trip somewhere, and there was a person who lives there, and then there was another person next to us. She was from China, and people from London. People are from everywhere, and it's just so cool to be in the middle of the city in a subway knitting and connecting, and it's really, really fun, and I thank Christy Glass for putting that on. So after that we went back to the hotel, and then we went to the marketplace, and I had in my head I really wanted like this deep blue yarn. Like I was like fingering weight pretty blue yarn, and so I was on a mission to find that specific yarn, and I found it at Fuse Fiber Studio, and it was $36 a skein, I think, and I just wasn't ready to bite the bullet on the price for a sweater's worth of fingering weight yarn. So my decision was made for me, because when I went back to look for it, it was all purchased. So, you know, there we go. But I kept going around the show. I was looking for, I wanted to make, I think it was the Hinterland sweater by Knit Love Wool. So it was fun going around the show and looking at everything, and I'll show you all the things that I bought. But it gets crowded in there. It gets crowded in the show, but we broke it up. Like I said, we went in for a couple hours after the subway storm, and then we were going to the play, we were going to the matinee. So, but I was also working on the video from the fashion show. I had exported it, and of course exporting takes like hours. I was running back up there, getting my footage, and then I dropped that off to Lewis, and unfortunately there wasn't a camera to play it, but that's all good. It's on the YouTubes now. But so we walked around, then we went over to we went to the Broadway play Come From Away. That was such a phenomenal play. If you go up to Vogue Knitting Live New York City, I'd highly recommend going to see this play. It is right outside from the Marriott Marquis, so if you're at the show, you don't want to be in the crowds, get tickets to this play, and it's right across the street from the Marriott. It's a real quick walk. It was snowing that day, and slushy and icy and all that, but it was like, it's right there. You can see it from the hotel, so don't have to walk very far. Play was amazing. It's about all the planes having to be landed because the U.S. airspace closed on September 11th. So all these planes had to land in Newfoundland since they weren't allowed back into the U.S. And then they got stuck there for, I think it was like 5 days. And it goes into all the stories, and it's just like, I think they said there's like 12 characters, and they switch roles. Like they're a passenger or they're a town person, and it was just so good. The stories were so good. It was just absolutely wonderful, wonderful, wonderful play. Highly recommend it. If you are going to Vogue and you don't like crowds, you should really get a matinee. All the plays are right there. I just went to see Moulin Rouge in November. I would go back to that in a heartbeat. I think the prices for the tickets have gone up quite astronomically, but I would go to, yeah, Moulin Rouge is right there. They're all right there. Phantom of the Opera, you can't go wrong. After the play, we went to Carmine's to eat. We made reservations months in advance. Highly recommend making dinner reservations very far in advance. We had a great dinner, and then we went back to the hotel, and I went in and knitted in our hotel room. We stayed right at the Marriott Marquis, which is wonderful. It's nice not having to walk all around the city. So we were there. I got to knit and relax. My sisters went down to record a podcast. My mom and I stayed back in the room. And then on Sunday, we went back down, did some shopping in the marketplace, and then we packed up our stuff to leave. I wanted to give a nice special shout out to the Suburban Stitcher and the knitting place. They had one of my patterns, the Susan Joy Shawl, up on display, and that was so nice to see. But yeah, overall, it was an awesome time. I hate going to the city, but I love being in the city with thousands of knitters because we only live about 40 minutes from the city, but I don't really like going into the city. But being able to go in and like go to the lobby and you're with like everyone and everyone's knitting and relaxing, and it's people I don't get to see, and I feel so comfortable being there with so many knitters. Like I was on the escalator with Hohi. I'm like, oh, there's Hohi, and like, you know, it's funny because she's not speaking English, and you're like, yeah, there's Hohi, she doesn't really speak English, so it's not her first language, and it's just nice to see people in their real environments. I just had on, I just took it off. Oh, here we go. I was wearing this knitting pattern that I knitted this. I was trying to have this done for last year, and I didn't because I was taking a class with Rami Hill. So this is the one of her patterns, and I was wearing this, and I saw Rami, and I'm like, hi. I'm like, this, you know, here's your pattern. She was talking to somebody else, so I didn't take too much of her time. But then I walked past her, and there was Alex Crates, and this yarn is Alex Crates. So it's just so cool to be in those kind of environments where it's like, oh, there's a designer, and there's the person I got the yarn from. Just walking around. You know, it's such a thrill. It really is. Just seeing everybody, just seeing everyone's enthusiasm, just being present with everybody. It's just so much fun. I'm very glad that I have the opportunity to go to these kind of events, and a huge thank you to my mom for taking us for Christmas, because it was one of the best Christmas presents ever. One year she got us a pony, and that was pretty cool. Vogue Knitting Live was a pretty good present too. Alright, so getting back to my list. I gotta stay on track. My son's gonna call to go to the bus. So I'll show you what I bought while I was there. So Manos Del Uruguay. I got some Manos from the Starlight Knitting Society, I think it is. I have the notes below. So I got some Manos. You see it? I know it's dark in here. So I called home and I asked if the boys wanted me to bring anything home, and Brady requested big fluffy blue yarn. So I got him this, and I thought he could make me a hat. He makes these on the looms. You see it? So Brady makes loom hats on the loom, and he uses real thick yarn. So I got these two for him to make some hats. And it came with this fabulous bag. You see it? So that'll be good. I'm gonna have Brady make me a hat. And then I had, so I was saying that I wanted like this blue yarn. I had it in my head that I was gonna make the Hinterland sweater, which I don't think I'm going to. So I have a pattern, one of my designs on the needles, and I found this yarn. Gotta keep that handy. And this is from Done Roving Yarns. So this yarn is basically exactly what I was looking for. This bright shiny blue. So this is Yakety Yak in Blue Bonnets, and it is a 60-20-20 superwash merino yak silk. So I am planning on using this for one of my patterns. I had a yellow, it's actually olive, in my hands. No, I didn't have it in my hands at the show. No, I did. And I put it down. I had coffee in my hand, and they were helping me. It has their names on here. Paula and Stephen Farrar. And Stephen was helping me, and I was trying to find a gradient. I did get this, but I don't think I'm gonna use it. I've changed my mind a little bit. I'll put this here. So what we did was he put these like this, and we were playing with all the colors, and we're like, oh, that's how the gradient's gonna look, and it's gonna fade out to that. And it was like, yeah, that's really pretty. But while we were doing all this, I had put down the olive, the yellow color one that I really did want, and I forgot to pick it back up because I had the cover. This is the playbill from Come From Away, and look at that. So I had a skein of yellow here. I had one skein and it sparkles in it, and I was like, oh, that might work. It wasn't. I stewed on it. I just ordered it. It's in the mail. It's coming to me. So I have a yellow that's going to match this, and I have written a pattern. It's a cardigan pattern, and that I don't think you'll see until maybe May, which for Maryland Sheep and Wool, which I am going to. So I'm planning on having a couple new patterns that will be released right before the show. So this was one purchase, my blue Yakety Yak, and then I bought two more. I bought 2 skeins of the olive, so that's coming in the mail. So I had the Manos, I got that, and then I also got and I didn't get Barnyard Knits. So that was my big thing. That was my #1 thing I wanted to buy. Alright, the #1 thing I wanted to buy was from Barnyard Knits. Because last year, as I was leaving, I saw their yarn and I had no money left. I was very sad. So I've been drooling over their Instagram account ever since. So I ended up buying one skein, which I knitted up, and it's over there. Alright, this, I have more, but I bought this. I bought one skein. I bought one skein of Mulberry patch, which I have knitted up, but it's over there. I just did a shawl. I had ordered, I'll show you the rest of it. This is the rosé. The yellow from the light over my head is getting it. The light from over here is the natural light. This one is yellow, which I have light bulbs to replace it, but anyway. So this was the rosé. Now this was an order. So what they do is they do a colorway club, and for $20, it's not a colorway club, I guess. They have a color of the month. So for $20, this skein is $20. And it's like you pre-order it, and then the month before, and then they make it all, and they send it. So I got 2 skeins of this. This was after the fact, because I had buyer regret. Or not kidding. And then this is Blackberry. This I ordered. I did not buy enough yarn when I was there. But like I said, I started out with 1 skein of Mulberry patch. I now have 4 skeins of Mulberry patch, 2 skeins of Blackberry, and 2 skeins of rosé. Alright, so Barnyard Knits. Alright, I just had to go to the bus stop and back. I was trying not to have a lot of interruptions, but it's raining out. So I'll give you a little sneak peek, but shh, don't show anyone. I don't show a lot of my patterns in the works because the people steal them, and it makes me sad. But this one is, this isn't going to be my pattern, but this is of the shape and the kind of the concept. But shh, if you promise not to tell anyone, I'll show you a little bit what the back looks like. and I'm just gonna hold it in front, and I'll show you real fast, and I'm gonna go away. You ready? So, this is kind of what the back will look like. That's it. I'm not telling you much. So that's with the rosé, with Barnyard Knits rosé and mulberry patch. Mulberry patch? No, it's the rosé and blackberry, and then there'll be mulberry patch. So my idea with the pattern is when you go to a festival, I really think you need to go and support all of the people who are there, and it's really hard to spend all your money in one booth. So the idea with this pattern is I'm using different fingering weight yarn. I'm using fingering weight yarn, but different colors. So this one, like I said, there's like 3 colors I'm using in this, and you use about 6 skeins of yarn. So while it's going to be an expensive pattern to make, it's going to be a very open, airy cardigan. It's going to be really, really, really nice. But the idea is, so like if I'm going to Maryland, I can buy, basically a lot of the dyers all have the same yarns. So you can buy a skein from one person and a skein from another person, and you can spread the love there at the festival and make a piece that you will have forever and ever and ever. And that is just stunning and wonderful. So that is what I'm working on. So unfortunately, I'm not gonna be able to show you a lot of what I'm doing with that. I plan on releasing that pattern before the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival, which is in the first weekend of May. So I'm working my butt off on those patterns, and like I said, I'm gonna be using those Barnyard Knits, the blue and the yellow together. I think those color combinations are really cool, and it'll be the yellow is more like a olive. This is olive. It's like a green yellow. It's cool. It's a cool color. So those will be unshown until they're finished. So I will be very busy working on them. So what else? I wanted, yeah, like I said, Fuse, they had the yarn that was sold out. Okay, knitting, what I'm working on. So as a big thank you from Lewis from Broken Boy Knits, he didn't get me the bag. The bag I got. That was a Rhinebeck purchase, but just to show you I'm using it. I am doing a spring lines cardigan from Riley La Maison is the designer. This is what it looks like. I am at the point where I can put pockets in on the sides here, and then I'll do the bottom, and then I'll do the sleeves. So just a little background. Since I'm a designer, I spend a lot of my time writing patterns. It's almost like writing books. I spend so much time writing and not a lot of time knitting. But I will write the patterns. I write the patterns out before I knit them. I swatch, and there's a lot of time that goes into knitting, or just to basically writing out the pattern, knitting the little samples to make sure everything's going to work, and then finally getting to work on the garment. When I work on one of my own patterns, I work on it during the day. I consider it my job. I do it during the hours from 9 to 5. And then at the end of the day, when I'm sitting on the couch, I have my relaxing knitting that is, I don't have to think about. Somebody else has written, and I can just enjoy. So this is the Spring Lions. I think this is going to be an awesome thing to wear, especially like once baseball season starts. Just on the side of on the sidelines of the baseball games, it'll be warm and cozy and has the pockets. So that will be wonderful. And the yarn is from Book and Boy Knits. That is the Coney Island. And it's an Aran weight yarn, and I absolutely love it. So I have that on my needles, and then what else do I have? I have a magic hat on my needles. I just did which I'll get to this, the stowaway. I just did a knit along with Wing and a Prayer Farm, and she was doing a sweater knit along, and I didn't have enough of her yarn to make a sweater, or I didn't have enough, or enough of one color. So I wanted to do the knit along, and she let me, because this is with my parents' alpacas, which I'll get to. And so I cast it on a magic hat, number 9 hat with Wing and a Prayer yarn. This is her tonic twist. It is a sport weight. I'm holding it double. So what I do, now this one hat oh, it just doesn't matter. So what I do when I get a yarn, if I don't have it stuck in the, I usually put it in the cake, but if I've taken it out, this brown was for the original, I should take that off. But what I do is I tie on, see that pink? So this one goes with this label. So this yarn goes with this label. So it's just a nice way to keep track of yarn as tags are floating around the bag. It's a little trick. So I casted that on. I also casted on, I had a cast on party when I got back from Vogue. This is a bag from Lori x5. Lori made this. A little drawstring bag. Love this bag. I cast it on a shift cowl by Andrew Mary. I bought this Freia yarn at Vogue Knitting Live. I had a hard time, I knew I wanted to buy it and I had a hard time picking out one I wanted. I just wanted something that I could wear in the spring and the fall. And so I'm using these, and so far this is how it's coming out. So this again is my evening knitting on the couch to pick up and work on it. I'm really enjoying it. It's fun having color changes. So that is that. That's the Shift Cowl by Andrew Mary. Also on my needles, I'll show you this now and you probably won't see it again for a year. I have cast it on a boxy newel. Boxy newel, not a boxy. This is by Hohi. Who I had this in my bag standing on the elevator with Hohi. Vogue, so good. So this is, I cast it on a boxy, and the way a boxy is made, it is from the bottom up. Now, this was part of my entry for the New to You knit along. So it starts at the bottom and you work your way up. What I did is I made a mess organizing this stuff. Let's see. What I had done, I organized all my yarn and stuff. So these were all my singles yarn. I had like a skein left from something. This is from Chelsea yarn. I think this is a Chelsea Luxe. So I put everything that colors that went together and what have you in a bag, and that is, and this is my project bag. This is from like Sheets. Yeah, this is my favorite project bags. So right here has, I put my project, my needles are going there, and then the top, this is like the pillowcases. I have my notions, I keep my scissors and my things. So this lives in my car. And so what I'm doing with this is if you know the boxy, it's just like a big oversized cardigan. And since I'm using all different colors, I'm just knitting until the color runs out and then picking up another skein going up. And I, of course, was getting bored, so I added a little color work in. I just divided the total number of stitches and was like, oh, I can do that repeat, so whatever. I just kind of threw that in. But why this is a new to you or new to me is I've been trying to do this in continental style knitting. I'm a thrower and I don't typically knit continental, but I've been pushing myself and I figured this was like endless stocking knit stitch, so I would attempt it. I hate it. I cannot get used to it. I'm trying so hard. I know that in the end it could be a lot faster if I do continental, and also when I write patterns I want it to be able to like translate that easier for people who are knitting continental. So I don't like it. I can't. I'm giving up. But I am going to keep knitting this. So this is what I work on when I am waiting at the bus stop, when I'm in a doctor's office, or if I'll probably knit on this one at the kids' baseball games and when we go camping. So this will probably be on my needles for quite a long time. I'm just showing it to you now. You probably will not see it again until later. But people keep complimenting on how nice it is. Makes me feel fancy. I'm glad I put that little details in there. Let's see. So those are what's on my needles, and then so I also been working really hard on a pattern I just submitted to a magazine. If they don't accept it, I'll hear by, I guess, in a month or so. If they don't accept it, then I'll start working on that pattern myself to publish independently. Alright, so those were a lot of my whips and FOs. As you can see, this is my stowaway sweater. It is made out of yarn from my parents' alpacas. It has, there's 4 of the alpacas. So there's Miles, Azaka, Mula, and Elsa. So this is how it came out. I absolutely love it. I did the knit along with Tammy at Wing and a Prayer Farm. So it was just a great excuse. I got this yarn. I got 2 skeins for my birthday, and then the other skeins I got for Christmas. So all together I was able to put them together and make it for this yarn, this knit along. I know it was really supposed to be to use her yarn, but I had this yarn and it's really hard for me to find something to make with it. And so when she was doing the stowaway, when she was doing this pattern, I'm like, oh, it would be so pretty, this and that, you know, yarn. And she said, as long as you're supporting a small farm, independent farm, then you could join the knit along. And I'm like, well, I scooped their poop. And I wanted something very special and meaningful, and it's been nice connecting with everybody in the group who are knitting along with this. So the deadline I know is coming up the end of February, but so you might still be able to join if you haven't, if you're looking for a project. So all the information is on Ravelry at Wing and a Prayer. There's a link below. I also finished, this is a Bowknot cowl. This is one of my patterns. It is a cowl, as you can see. It can be worn draped like an infinity scarf. It's not that long. But how I've been wearing it, I like to fold it like this, and then it just kind of goes in my coat. So super cozy. This is Sierra Yarns Hakan. It's an alpaca blend. I'll have a link to the page, the pattern page in my Ravelry store. It is free, and it uses 1 skein of yarn. And it has this cool little technique in it. You drop down and pick up from down here, and it's very simple, but it just adds a fun little detail. But yeah, so it's a free little pattern. I really enjoy Sierra Yarns, and I like to get as many patterns out with their yarns as possible since they are new to the knitting industry. They've been around a long time with the people in the company with making sweaters, so now they are selling the yarn, and they are trying their best to move into a slow fashion, from fast fashion to slow fashion. So I'm happy to help them out, and yeah, I enjoyed doing this. I needed a little break. I've been working on a lot of intense lace stuff lately, so got this. And back to the notes. Yeah, so I talked about, I have the 2 designs, cardigan designs in progress, so you probably won't see much knitting from me unless I finish some things on the couch, my evening knitting. Other than that, I'll be working on these 2 cardigan pieces that will be taking up a lot of my time. I also thought I'd just throw in, I talk about my photography adventure. So I have done 2 photography workshops. I like to do a workshop once a month, and I thought I'd tell you about them. I did one workshop was the Milky Way photo shoot, and the second one I did was it was a moonrise over the Empire State Building. So the Milky Way shoot I did down in Barnyard, New Jersey. You can see the Milky Way rise over the Atlantic Ocean in certain places. There's not too many places because there's a lot of light pollution, noise pollution, or not noise, light pollution. So in Barnyard, it's a really good place to get pictures. For some reason, it's a very dark spot. You have to time it right when the moon's not in the sky and all these other bajillion factors. But in New Jersey, you can see it for the very end of January, beginning of February till about April. That's when it's positioned in the sky and when it rises over the horizon. So I got a baby Milky Way photo shoot. So it came up, and within minutes the sun started to rise. So it was Milky Way to sunrise. So you only have a couple minutes to get that picture, and then the sun comes up. It's too bright and it fades, so you can't see it anymore. So I am hoping to go back throughout the season and try and get some better shots of it with it a little bit higher in the sky before the sun comes up. So I think the Milky Way rise was maybe at 5:30 or 5 o'clock, and the sunrise, like you could see it, it's a whole thing. And so I'll share some of the pictures I took. There's also a lighthouse there, so we practiced our focusing on the lighthouse at night, which was something I really need practice on, focusing in the dark. So there, I do want to go back there and do some star trail pictures, and that's when it looks like all the stars are going around, and I can do that there at the lighthouse. So I plan on going back and doing that. Then I also did the workshop. It was a Milky Way, oh not Milky, it was a moonrise over the Empire State Building. And what we were 28 miles away from New York City. We're up on a hill in New Jersey, and you couldn't even see the city. Like there was no visual way of seeing the city, and it was really cloudy and it had been raining. The weather was not good, and we could see the Freedom Tower. There was like a sun reflection. The sun was going down, and I was there with the workshops. We were all like, oh, we see something, we see something. So we could see the Freedom Tower. So I used the Freedom Tower to focus, and then as it got darker, we could start to see some lights, but we could see the Empire State Building like right before the moon was supposed to rise. So we have used an app called Photo Pills, and we calculate our distance and where we were on a hill, like our elevation. You have to use like all these things to know how tall, where you are, the height of we had to put in the height of the Empire State Building, and we had to do like a bajillion math. It was like so much math to calculate where we had to stand and position and know where the moon was going to be. But we were able to figure it all out. And Jen, the instructor for our workshop, she taught us how to do it all, and so we could do it on our own. It's a ridiculous amount of math and information you need to know where to stand. And so this only happens once every few years. It does not happen very often because the moon rises and, it's different all the time. So it came up, and so we're all staying there in this workshop, and there were probably about 8 of us in the workshop, and then like there's probably 40 photographers all together in this tiny little spot. Like everybody came. It's like it's a rare alignment. So we were standing there and we were looking. I couldn't even see the city. It was just clouds. And then all of a sudden you see this red orb coming up. We're like, it's the moon! Like it was so exciting. So the further you are from an object, what's behind it looks like the moon will look bigger. So we were 28 miles away. I couldn't even see the city. Like focusing on these little lights. And the moon, it rose. Like we saw it. Like you can see, it's never like you can't see the whole thing. And I'll share the pictures. That was really, really, really fun. I learned a lot on that shoot, and I'm hoping to do more of that over the summer when we go camping from our campsites and stuff like that. So I will leave you with the moonrise, and I'll be back soon. I gotta go get another kid from the bus stop, and it's raining out. Hopefully, it's not walking in the rain. And I'll check in with you later. Bye.